Wow, this was a very, very heavy episode. And I will honestly say I was an emotional wreck at the end. Let's talk about Pose. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to KRS TV. This is your boy Kenny, and this is Pose Season 2, Episode 4. And the name of this episode is Never Knew Love Like This Before. Perfect name for this episode. But yeah, it was really sad, very heartbreaking, and the situation is so true in today's society, and it's an epidemic, and it's a form of human cruelty that we need to get in front of and we need to stop. But let me begin, with this episode. Pretty much they're at the ball, they're playing Sheila E.'s Love Bazaar, love that track, and pretty much Pray Tell talks about Madonna. Her song has been, Vogue has been on the charts for 2 weeks. It's literally taken the ballroom to the mainstream. And pretty much we see that, Damon, sees Ricky. Ricky is now a part of the House of Wintour. So it's like now they're pretty much now competing against each other. They at one point were lovers, and now they're kind of, in a way, frenemies. So pretty much, Pretel says that the category is lofting, meaning voguing, dancing, paying homage to Madonna. We see that Shadow comes in and he kills it. We see like Lamar comes in and he was like Lamar, Ferocity, Evangelista, like this bitch a house hopper, child. But yeah, she the House of Winter now. I was like, he was shading the fuck out of Lamar. And then Gravity Ebony. Now that motherfucker came in and killed it. Was doing breakdancing, was voguing, was doing it all. And he got 10s across the board. And then pretty much Pertel was like, anybody else who wants to challenge this? And then the next thing you know, we see that Candy comes in dressed like Madonna, got the hair, got the silicones out, and she does her thing. And then all of a sudden Pertel was like, oh, this bitch again. And then all of a sudden, while she's doing her thing, just, giving her life, Pretel stops the music. He's like, I'll tell you one thing, bitch, you got nerve. And pretty much she was saying, he's like, child, what the hell are you doing? And Candy was like, I'm paying tribute to Madonna. But she's like, but honey, we've been through this. The category is lofting. This is a dance category. Actual dancers. Something you are not. And if anything, I'm doing this because I'm concerned for your health. Breakdancing will probably burst the silicone, and pretty much she's like, yeah, because breakdancing will probably burst your silicone, bitch. And you'll probably end up going back to that flat ass you used to have. And then Blanca was like, pray tell, that's fucked up. Because I'm like, that was mean. That was very cutthroat. And pretty much Candy stands up to him. And she's like, why you always gotta put me down, pray tell? Like, and he was like, I don't need to put you down, honey, because you're always at the bottom. I was like, damn. I'm saying, like, look, when it comes down to the community, we are more hurtful to each other than anybody on the outside. Bitches will cut, and they will cut deep. And pretty much she says, you don't, like, you just can't admit it. I got heart. I got talent. And I'm a star. Just like Madonna. I'm like, you better tell him, Candy. And they were clapping with her because she was right. And pretty much Pray Tell was like, what's the scores? And she got like a 5, a 0, and a 6. He's like, honey, the cards don't lie. And she's like, regardless, honey, you know, I am a star and I am somebody. And he was like, well, go on, Miss Jessie Jackson, go be somebody, but not on my damn floor. I'm like, it is just crazy because because we've always noticed that Pray Tell be going for Candy. And a lot of times, you know, we be gagging and be laughing. But it's like this time, he just really got really nasty with it and shit. And, you know, she doesn't understand, like, why Pray Tell is always trying to shut her down. But a lot is revealed later, so let me keep it going. We see that Pray Tell and Blanca are at the hospital, and they're talking about, you know, the AIDS cabaret, because they did that last season, which I thought was really good, but they said that we can do it even bigger, you know, this time around. But they actually are there to see Nurse Judy, and really what it turns out, he's thinking that they're there to talk about the AIDS cabaret. Nurse Judy shut that down. Like, we're not talking about the AIDS cabaret. We're going to talk about AZT, because since Blanca has been taking it, her numbers have improved. And Pray Tell was like, man, I ain't taking that garbage, toxic shit. You got me fucked up. I'm not fucking with that. And she even lets him know that, look, you need this because your numbers are dropping. Yeah, but the thing about it, you know, AZT actually killed people probably more so than the disease. I mean, it didn't work. It worked for some people, but it didn't work for a majority. So taking AZT was a gamble, but it was all they had then. And then pretty much, you know, Judy lets Pray Tell know that, look, you're not going to get rid of this by eating a pound of butter a day. And immediately he looked at Blonda like, bitch, you telling my shit? And we see that here it is, you know, Pray Tell's with his friends and he's eating a pound of butter a day. We see he's adding a pound of butter to some mashed potatoes. And, you know, he's saying like a pound of butter a day to flush out the virus. And he gets pissed off, you know, that she told this. And she says, and she's like, look, you know, I'm really concerned. That's why I told her. I just want more time with you. And they like, yeah, we love you. And she says, well, and he's like, well, find a better way to love me, damn it. And just got mad and walked out. You know, so he doesn't want to go, he doesn't want to take AZT. But she pretty much notices that he's been losing weight and his energy has been off. So pretty much afterwards, we see that Pray Tell has a meeting at the diner with the ball council. You know, they talk, you know, business and logistics, you know, that they need to add some new categories because they got categories old as 1973 and all of that. And then they were saying that one of the guys like, well, somebody mentioned that we need to have a lip sync category, you know. And pretty much, he's like, I'm shutting that shit down right now. If they want to lip sync, they can take their asses to the gay bars up in the village, you know, with the white boys in blue jeans. Like, that shit tired. It ain't gonna go nowhere. And all of a sudden you heard, bullshit! Candy in the next damn booth, and she done intervened in the damn meeting. So she done already talked to the ball council before Pray Tell got there, and Pray Tell didn't even know her ass was there. So she was like, and so he's like, oh, so your ass had to show up here. What the hell you got going on now, Candy? And she was like, well, I decided to stop by because I know this is where you bottoms have brunch. I was like, oh shit! I was so here for Candy Young. Candy went there. When she said that shit, I hollered. I'm like, bitch, that was a good one. And she was like, look, we need to discuss next moves for the ball. You know, eyes are on us. As we said that, look, we are being seen in a way that we never have. And I'm a star and I need to be seen. And all of a sudden, Pray Tell was like, what? So we want to put a pole in the middle of the floor so you can show your attributes? And pretty much she said that, look, lip sync is the new wave. The queens are making good money in these bars. And I'm like, it's interesting because why do we like RuPaul's Drag Race? Okay. I don't need to say it. You already know. And he immediately shut it down. Motion denied. Done. You know. And she gets so damn mad that she jacks up Pretel and puts a knife to him like, why don't take me seriously, Pretel? And he was like, what, you gonna stab me in broad daylight? Do it, bitch! and she like pushes him off, and then you think her ass is about to leave. She starts throwing fruit and food at their asses and shit. And she was like, oh, I'll see you later, motherfuckers. And then all of a sudden, damn Pretel was like, I assume she's a Scorpio. I was like, wow, that shit was crazy. So then we get the next night at the ball. The category is hotter than heaven. You know, this is innovative, avant-garde. The girl Kiki who walked in the category, she had an outfit and had a bird cage with actual birds on her head. So she got 10s across the board. Then we see that Angel runs over to Blanca because Blanca was talking to Poppy and was there with Damon. And Angel said that, no, you need to come with me. It's important. You know, so they run off, and we see that Lulu is very emotional, and she's like, it's Candy. She missed 2 shifts, you know, at the club, and she normally checks in with me, and she hasn't. And she begins to say that, so they literally are like, what the hell's going on? And she says that, look, being a mother of a house is expensive. We have been tight on cash. And I'm like, yeah, we know that, because when Alech was living there, they literally were having Slim Fast and hot sauce and popcorn for dinner. You know, they weren't even getting no food stamps or nothing. Like, they was really low. And she was saying that, look, we've been tight on cash, and, you know, to make extra money, Candy has been, you know, tricking down at the hotel on Grant. And immediately Blanca was like, what the hell? Now you know that shit ain't safe. And Lulu's like, I told her that. But you know, Candy, she gonna do what she wanna do. And immediately I thought about Venus Extravaganza from Paris is Burning, because, you know, she was actually killed by a John. And she even talked about a John who clocked her, and she escaped by climbing out of the window because she didn't know what he was about to do to her. And we also know that her sister, I think Angie Extravaganza, if I said her name wrong, correct me in the comments, but she even said that that's how she was. Like, she even tried to tell Venus, you know, tried to like warn Venus about things, but she said that Venus was going, you know, make her money any way she could. And she literally, because she had the attitude, she put herself in danger, because Venus made her money by dancing in clubs, but then she also prostituted. And, you know, being a trans girl and being a prostitute, you know, it definitely puts you in very dangerous territory, and it's still true to this very day. And, you know, she asks she pretty much asks Lulu, did you go to the hotel to check? And she's like, you know, she wants Blanca to go to the hotel with her, and she does. They go to the hotel. The hotel's a dump, and they pretty much go check with the hotel clerk. The guy was rude as shit, and she normally asks for room 44 because room 44 has a vanity in it. And she says that, look, I don't know who has who. You know, there's so many girls that come in and out of here. You know, we rent rooms by the hour. You know, and they also noticed that key 44 is gone, and they said, like, can we go knock on the door? And he says, man, fuck that and fuck you. And Lulu's about to go off on his ass, like do your fucking job, bitch. And Blanca kept, you know, calmed it down. She was like, you know what, I'm gonna leave you my number in case you know something or hear something. Please call me. And he takes the number and snatches it out of her hand. I'm like, yeah, he needed his ass whooped because he was just rude as fuck. But then again, it's a rundown hotel, and it's usually shady characters that go in there, so he don't give a shit. He's sitting there watching his TV, earning that little ass paycheck. He don't give no fucks about nothing. So we saw that go down. Then we see that Blanca literally is starting a search party at the house of Evangelista. I'm sorry. Blanca is starting a search party for Candy in the house of Evangelista. I got tongue-tied, my bad. So she pretty much got the whole house working to get the word out. She got them going places to put out, posters, a missing persons ad of Candy. And she even want Poppy on the phones, and she says that, look, she wasn't a part of our house, but she's still our sister. And then all of a sudden we see that the phone rings, and it's for Blanca. And then finally, Blanca doesn't tell what the phone call was, but they call Lulu over. And Lulu finally shows up. Blanca hesitates opening the door. So we already kind of got that feel it wasn't good news. But she lets her in, and she's like, what's going on? She's like, I'm waiting for electric ears. Like, no, just tell me, what's going on, Blanca? What's going on? And she was like, look. And she just couldn't hold it in. And she's like, Candy's not coming home. And she's like, what? What are you saying? And she's like, look, I just got the call. Candy's dead. And then that part really took me out because, it definitely hit home for me, from a personal experience that I witnessed where, Lulu starts going and she's like, I just talked to her 2 days ago. She was making plans for the future, and Lulu just broke down. And it literally made me think about somebody near and dear to me. I don't know if I probably have talked about it in previous videos, but there's a date that I will never forget, and that's December 23rd, 2017. What happened was that was the day that my cousin, her name was Val, she had came over my house to do my grandmother's hair. It was around Christmas time, so we were all in high spirits. We were all going to be meeting up, over her father's house, who's my great uncle. We were going over there for a Christmas party on Christmas Eve, and she left, and I literally watched her from my window get in her car, not realizing that was going to be the last time I was going to see her, because hours later we get a call that she was dead, hours after leaving my house. And that's a date that I will never forget, and it really hit home for me because you never know when someone's going to leave you, and you have to treasure everyone that's good in your life, and give people their roses while they're still here, because you never know when you're going to lose them. Tomorrow's not promised to any of us. And it just really hit home for me because I literally, the tears was just falling, because it made me think about my cousin Val, because I kind of had that same reaction, when I found out, just like Lulu did, like, she just left here. What do you mean? And she was fine. But then again, you never know when your time is going to be up. So you have to live your life to the fullest, and you have to give your roses while you're here. So finally we see that Electra shows up. Blanca lets them know what happened, that the hotel manager called her. The hotel manager said that they were having concerns about what was going on in those rooms, and they said the maid went to go clean the room, and we see that she went to go do the bedding, and then when she went by the closet, she saw a towel with blood on it, and when she opened the door, Candy's body was there. She had been beaten and mutilated, and they found her dead in the closet. And pretty much, Angel was like, well, I think it was Lulu was like, are the police investigating this? She says, well, the police are, that she said that right now the police are trying to look into it, but they don't have any suspects. And damn, Electra called it. She was like, NYPD doesn't care about a dead transsexual. They've never been treated with any kind of respect or dignity. And it immediately hit home for me Not only was this true for Venus Extravaganza, but immediately I thought about Marsha P. Johnson. There's a documentary on Netflix called The Death and Life of Marsha P. Johnson. She's definitely one of the pioneers of the gay liberation movement, as well as Star. And she was a trans woman, and she was one of the major pioneers who fought in Stonewall. So if it wasn't for the trans community, the gay movement, the LGBTQ community would not even exist if it wasn't for the trans, because the trans led the fight. But then once we started getting our rights and getting our liberation, we literally put the trans in the back and started treating them like they were freaks, when they're not. They're human beings, and they're leaders, and they're the hardest fighters. Because one thing a trans girl and a trans man knows how to do is fight. They are fighters at the heart. So, and I immediately was drawn. I've been drawn to Marsha P. Johnson for years, because there was another documentary that I saw of her where she was doing the kind of same thing as Venus, as well as Candy, like going to these hotels and was tricking with Johns, and literally you're gambling with your life, because you never know what kind of person you're dealing with and whether you're going to walk out alive. And then we see that Angel gets mad, and she was like, it's May. 11 girls have been killed this year, and ain't nobody did a damn thing about it. This is fucked up, and we have to fight. So yeah, she brought that, but India is that for real. Who plays Angel, because she did a live on Twitter, where she was going off about, Malaysia Booker and a few of the trans girls, and she was upset, saying that the black community should be just as mad and just as angry as what happened with Trayvon Martin, and what happened to all the Sandra Bland and some of these others who were victims of police brutality. The trans girls should be getting just as much anger and just as much rage from the black community. Well, why is the black community not silent? Because the black community is still prejudiced, and they don't want to let that shit go, which is the problem. But there are ones who are waking up, who are understanding what it means to be trans and what it's all about, and that it's not some freak of nature thing. It's literally someone who feels inside, who they feel on the inside is not who they are on the outside, and they choose to work things out so that they can actually be who they truly are, which is what we saw with the character of Candy and all the characters on Pose. So pretty much she's pissed off, and then Elektra's like, look, what we need to do is honor Candy's memory. But Blanca was like, look, we got to get her body for the morgue. We have to get her body from the morgue, but none of us are blood relatives. So she pretty much tells Angel to call Candy's parents, and work that out. And we see that Elektra, Blanca, and Judy go to the morgue, and they talk to the guy who Judy knew. She tried to set him up with her friend Jeff, but things didn't work out. So he's a bitter queen, and he was saying that I can't do that for you because it's breaking the law. She was like, look, you're gay, I'm gay, we're under the same fucking rainbow. Let's flip this. Let's say things actually worked out with you and Jeff, and you got married, but here it is, he dies, and you won't be able to claim his body, and the family can even block you during his final days in the hospital. So what are you thinking? He says it sounds unfair, and she's like, yeah, and it's the same thing here. I'll take whatever comes with it, but look, give us a break and make this happen. And we can tell by her saying that she hit a nerve with him, and he pretty much says, give me the address and we'll have her body sent to the funeral parlor. And we see that they all are at the funeral parlor. Lulu is a no-show, and Elektra was like, well, I never understood that one anyway. She was always walking in Candy's shadow. And I was like, that's interesting. And then we see that they go to view her body. Oh, the look was all wrong. The makeup was wrong. The hair was wrong. And they was like, oh, hell no. We ain't letting our girl go down in the ground like that. Fuck that. The makeup is horrible. And yeah, and that damn church throwaway wig, I will never even wear that shit myself. So they literally said, we got 2 hours. And they did her makeover. And by the time they got done, it looked like her. So it's like the girls had her back. And it was actually a moving moment, you know, that they hooked up Candy, and Candy looked beautiful. And then we see that Angel is tore up behind Candy's death. You know, her parents, she said her parents, you know, didn't receive her. And then she says, you know, Lulu, no one knows what she is. And pretty much, you know, they let her know that, look, we were her family. And Blanca and Pray Tell get started. And we see that Pray Tell gets emotional. And he says that, look, I'm not going to get up here and tell no lies, y'all. Candy was a pain in my goddamn black ass. I was rolling. I was like, keep it real. Because in the spirit of Candy, Candy kept it real with everybody. So Pray Tell, yeah, don't get up there and try to say all these nice things when every time you saw her, you was always reading her and you was always cutting her with your mouth. Every single time. But she says that, look, that's family though. Family don't always get along. But she even was saying that, he even brought up when, you know, her and Lulu was talking in the funeral, saying that funerals were a waste of time, you know, because the living get the party, you know. And then after he says that, let's have a moment of silence for Candy, he goes to sit down, and Candy's ghost talks to him, and, you know, they have a good conversation, and, you know, but then, like, he also mentions, while he's up there, I'm sorry, I kind of skipped something, but then he pretty much says that, look, you know, and she says that, look, she deserves a shiny trophy for her contribution to our community. And she says that we need to stand up and protect our sisters from the hands of men who are weak and afraid. And then he asks for a moment of silence, and then Candy was like, I forgive you. And then all of a sudden we see that Pray Tell's like, what? And then, like, Candy was like, you heard me, bitch, I forgive you. And then she sits next to him, you know, her ghost, and, you know, her and Pray Tell are going back and forth, and she was like, why were you always such an asshole to me? I could pull trade in Manhattan, the Bronx, and Brooklyn, but I could never impress your ass. Why did you always come for me? And he was like, because, you know, you were unapologetic, loud, black, and femme. All the things I tried to hide about myself. So, in my own way, I was trying to protect you. Well, actually, it was kind of like you were jealous because she wasn't afraid to express herself, where you, on the other hand, tried to butch it up a little bit. Even though you couldn't hide being who you are, you were kind of rejecting Candy because Candy was loud. She was just like you, and you hated the fact that she had more courage to be her than you had, you know, to express yourself. But then she was like, look, I'm a free bird, you know. And he admitted that, yeah, I was jealous of your bravery, and that's why I always came for you. But she says that, look, there's going to be lonely life at the balls without me, you know. And she says, and you know I would have killed that lip sync challenge, you bitch. I was like, yes. It kept it all the way authentic with her, and, you know, and she says, okay, get on with it. And then we see that her ghost leaves, and we see that Pray Tell is very emotional. And then pretty much we see that Blanco's like, get on with it, because he just spaced out. So pretty much he opens it up for people to come and express themselves and say whatever they want to say in regards to Candy and her memory. So, and then all of a sudden we see that Angel is on her knees talking to, talking to Candy, and she's very emotional. She's breaking down, and she's like, "Why not me?" And, why didn't this happen to me? Because, she was turning tricks at the pier, not too long ago. And that could have easily been Angel as well. I mean, hell, I was even saying in season 1 that, Angel was reminding me of Venus Extravaganza. And we see that this episode they definitely executed the Venus story through Candy. And pretty much we see that her ghost comes up and she says that, let this be a reminder what can happen to you when you chase a quick coin. And she's saying that, but I'm not working the piers no more. She's like, yeah, but you still got the piers in the back of your mind in case that modeling thing don't work out. And she's like, they don't accept us. And she's like, stop it. Stop doubting yourself. Yeah, that's true. You are the first. And you are going to open doors for more girls like us to go through them. That's your duty. You did right by me, sis. And we see that, Angel's emotional, and she goes out to look for Poppy, and she see that finally Lulu's there. But Lulu's in the lobby, and she's sitting in the chair, and she's like, I don't want to see her like that. I had a lot of memories, but a lot of them were bad ones. And Angel literally became the strength for Lulu. And she says that, look, you need to make your peace because the regret is going to be unbelievable tomorrow if you don't. So we see that, and we also see that Judy and Blanca have a conversation because Judy finally shows up. And they talk about Pretel, that he's losing weight and he has to drink coffee to keep up his energy. And Electra goes off, she's like, excuse me, this is like, we do not need to have this idle chatter for this sensitive occasion. And then all of a sudden Judy was like, well, excuse me. And she's like, she's always like that, girl. Don't pay her no mind. Like, Blanca know her damn mother. Like, cause that damn Electra don't hold her mouth for shit. So I thought that was hilarious. So Angel walks in with Lulu. We see that Lulu gets to the casket, and she's saying that, wow, I can't believe you're gone. I gotta run this house by myself. And then all of a sudden she's looking at all this finery that she got on, and then next thing you know, Lulu just turns into a straight up, to like a straight up grimy bitch. And she was like, oh, you thieving bitch, that's my brooch. You taking my shit. You ain't taking my shit with you. And she takes off the glove and is like, and that's my fucking hat. And like, they literally had to pull her away from the fucking casket because she literally was taking everything off and shit. And then she pushed old boy, was like, get the fuck off me. And then all of a sudden she leaves, and then Poppy's like, look, I'm not coming to no family reunions. The hell with that. I'm like, I don't blame you, Poppy. Lulu goes outside and has a moment with Candy's ghost. And like, Candy's like, man, y'all gonna be talking about this funeral for years. And she pretty much calls Lulu out. She's like, now, bitch, half the shit you took wasn't yours. And she's like, yeah, but it's better going with me than in the ground with you. And she's like, and here it is, I see all these people up in there giving me their fake sentiments and shit, but yet they ain't fucking give me no real love when I was alive. And the funny thing about it, I realized you didn't even like me either. And she's like, look, we were cool, but we weren't no Laverne and motherfucking Shirley, bitch. You were never kind to me, and you resented me because I was light-skinned, and it played to my strengths. So yeah, they definitely discuss colorism, because this is like the early 90s. That's when light skin was in. Like, any of the major black sitcoms and stuff like that, they always, when it came down to the lead role, it was always someone of lighter skin. So colorism was big. So yeah, there probably was that tension between them, because Candy was a dark-skinned girl, whereas Lulu was light, so she was considered favorable, and she was more accepted than Candy was. So Candy probably did have that feeling that, you know, that because she was light, she was treated better, and probably that jealousy kind of spewed over into their friendship. But then they talk about that, you know, about that time they stole a coat from Bloomingdale's and they snuck a Thanksgiving dinner under it, and then when it was like cold and it was below 20, they literally snuggled up in that coat together to go to sleep. And she says that, look, we had some good times, not all bad. But then she lets her know that, look, something crazy or bad or hilarious is going to happen, and I'm not going to be there by your side to talk about it. Like, you going to miss me, girl. And she says that time will heal us. And then all of a sudden, we see that she, you know, because she had took Lulu's cigarette, and then she gave the cigarette back, and she was like, girl, you got me fucking up my makeup. And then she looks and see that her ghost is gone, and Lulu just breaks down. So Lulu's grieving too. It's just that people display their grief differently. Some people get closed off, some people got crazy, and some people are just an emotional wreck. So it all depends on the person. So we see that Blanca is there humming, and Candy is holding her hand. So we got the real right there. She knew that Blanca loved her. Even though as mean as fuck as she was to Blanca, she knew Blanca really did care about her. Because she had nothing to say for Blanca, because she knew that Blanca's heart was real. So I clocked that shit. And then we see Electra, you know, comes up to her, and she was like, look, there's an old couple looking like George and Wheezy out here partaking the refreshments. You need to drive their asses away. And I'm like, this bitch. And then all of a sudden we see that she brings Blanca to the room with the couple, and then Electra just kind of gave a look, then walked away. I'm like, Electra, you shady bitch. And we come to find out that the guy's name is Darnell and the woman's name is Vivica. They're actually Candy's parents. So they did take heed to Angel, and even though they kind of blew Angel off, they finally decided to show up. And like Blanca was like, well, it's so great that you guys came here to pay your respects to Candy. And then all of a sudden the woman was like, Candy? What kind of damn name is Candy? And Blanca's like, it's the name that she chose. And you know, the Darnell pretty much says that, well, Candy was our child. And then all of a sudden the mother, Vivica, she was like, he was our son. And I was like, oh, here we go with the bullshit. So really, this was interesting, because when Candy's ghost appears because her parents finally come in, because Blanca says that you guys can come in and say your goodbyes, and if you need anything, I'll be right here for you. So Blanca was handling it. You know, big ups to my girl Blanca. She did that. So they go, and they pretty much says that, look, and she even tells them that, look, Candy was loved. You know, Candy was loved. She was a big part of our community. We embraced her. So the parents go to pay their respects to their child, and we see that Candy appears to both her mother and her father, and we can tell from this conversation they would have been more accepting if she was gay, but they rejected her because she was trans, because they know that they had a different kind of child. Because, you know, when Candy was talking to her mother, she was like, Mom, I used to wear your outfits and used to try on your wigs and stuff. You already knew what it was, you know. And, you know, her mother was like, why did it take me so long to see you? And she said, you didn't want us. You didn't want to. You know, as much as I used to go on your stuff, you know, you were my gateway to embracing my femininity. And yet you rejected me. And she said, this is who I truly am. And she says that, look, I never got a rule book as to how to raise a special kid like you. And I thought that was deep, because a lot of black parents don't know how to raise a a child that's a part of the LGBTQ. The first thing they do is throw the damn child away because they don't want to deal with it. It's this fear and this, lack of knowledge that overtakes them, and then they make stupid decisions and they don't even think twice about it. And this is a problem that we need to change in the black community, or the black community will continue to self-destruct, because we need all of our people. We need everybody from the LGBTQ as well as the straight community working together to make our community great. And we pretty much see that the mother gets emotional and they tell each other how much they missed each other. And then we see that Candy also has a conversation with the father, and she says, "Daddy, you always had a sweet spot for me." And the dad was like, "Yeah, you're my little fighter. You weren't really into boy stuff, but you had guts, you know." And he was about to say, like, "Yeah, you you was my special boy." And I was like, "Ooh," but he stopped himself. He's like, "No, you have a daughter." And then he said, "Remember that dollhouse I always wanted?" He's like, "Yeah, you asked for it for like 2 birthdays, and every chance you got, you asked for it." And he's like, "Yeah, and I know you got it for me. I watched you as you put it together and set everything up. It was the best Christmas I ever had." And he's like, and he said that, and she tells her father that, "I felt seen by you, and it gave me courage to be who I am." So it's like some of the best elements she got from her parents, but because her parents didn't know how to raise a trans girl, they just threw her to the wolves. So that's something that they're going to have to live with. And he's like, "I don't want to let you go." He's like, "You're going to have to, Dad." So pretty much we see that Praytel comes up with the ball council. They decided that they're going to add a lip sync category to the ball, and they're going to call it Candy's Sweet Refrain. And then they pretty much light their lighters up to Candy, and the parents are amazed that Candy was loved, and she was loved by a community, and pretty much the pallbearers come, and the pallbearers are taking her out, but here it is, it turns into the ball, and Candy gets out of the casket looking glammed and looking gorgeous, and she's lip syncing to Stephanie Mills' I Never Knew Love Like This Before. That is my jam. Shoot, I love that song, and I boo-hooed throughout the entire thing. The tears just kept falling, because it was like, wow, and we actually seen, yes, she would have killed the lip sync competition. She would have been that bitch, but no one gave her the chance that she deserved, and it just pained me how she never got the roses she deserved to get when she was alive. Because, yeah, I was going in on Candy and all her antics, but I did like Candy. But it was just so sad that Candy had a lot to offer, but she never was really given a fair opportunity to show it. And she did her thing to Stephanie Mills, and she was dancing, getting her life. And I just boo-hooed after watching that scene, because it was like, wow. What could have been. And then we see that so we pretty much see that they have a repass for, and then afterwards Praytel and Blanca do the dishes. He's like, "Why the hell you ain't get these damn kids to clean up after dinner?" And she said that, "Look, I let them go out, man. They need to blow off some steam after all we've been through." And he pretty much said that after the funeral he went to see Judy, and he actually had some AZT. He's saying that, "Look, I just been, focusing on these children and their dreams and just trying to stay alive. But then seeing Candy in that casket, I don't want to leave here with nothing undone or unsaid." And I was like, Candy spoke to him. And he said that life is precious, and Candy reminded me of that, to fight for my life. So they both He gets his pills, and Blanca gets hers, and they both take the pills together, and that's where it ended. And they left with the quote by the phenomenal Octavia Saint Laurent, where she says that gays have rights, lesbians have rights, men have rights, women have rights, even animals have rights. How many of us have to die before the community recognizes that we are not expendable? And that was a very powerful statement. And they also mentioned that 1,000 trans have been murdered globally since 2016 with no convictions. This is a problem. We need to stop it. We need to start protecting our girls and we need to start protecting our trans brothers and sisters, and we need to change the laws that they will be protected, and that they will be seen as human beings and not people that can just be killed off and we give no fucks about it. Because the trans community has contributed a lot to the culture, to the world, and to entertainment, and to many facets of industries in this country, and they deserve to have the rights, liberty, and respect as anybody else. So that's what I have, y'all. If I missed anything, put it down in the comments. I'd love to talk to you about it. But subscribe to my channel. Click that bell so you get notifications every time I drop a video. Also, follow me on all of my social platforms. I have them all listed in the description box. Also, like this video, comment on this video, and share this video. And I'll be back with the next episode of Pose. So until next time, everybody, take care.